Hey, boys and girls, it's Mr. Mac from the Harker School. Today we're going to be talking about mixed numbers. Sometimes you may have seen these and been a little bit confused or just kind of unsure what it really meant. So I want to make sure to take some time today to go over what a mixed number is. So a mixed number, it has a whole number and a fraction. Okay, so when we talk about a whole number and a fraction in the mixed number, that means we are talking about having a complete or a whole object of some sort. So if it's one whole, that means we have one full object. If it's two wholes, we have two full objects. Three wholes, three full objects, and so on and so forth. And then the fraction is telling us how much of another whole we have. We've learned about fractions before, and we've learned that fractions are parts of wholes. So sometimes we kind of forget when we combine a whole and a fraction, we forget that the wholes are literal whole beings, whole things, and fractions are parts of another whole. So when we look at this picture here of this sandwich and this part of this sandwich, this is our whole sandwich, one whole sandwich, and this is half of another because we took a whole and we cut it into two pieces and we have one of those two pieces. So that is where 1 and a half comes from. Okay, looking at this ruler here, right? We have 2 whole inches. That's where the 2 comes from. And then we have 1/4 of another inch. All right. So 1/4 of another inch means we took a full inch, cut it into 4 equal pieces, and we have one of those parts. So they get a little visual down here when we look at the apples, and they say that Caden had 3 apples and he cut off half of an apple to eat. Caden had 3 apples. He cut off half of an apple to eat. What mixed number represents the amount of apples left? So here are the 3 apples, right? Here's the half that is left after he ate. So he has 2 whole apples and then a half of another one. So he has 2.5 apples there. Now, something that sometimes gets confused, if I was to ask a question of between what 2 whole numbers of apples does he have? Well, he has 2 and some more, right? So he has between 2 and 3 apples. And think about it as money. If this was money, this would be $2.50. Well, between what dollar amounts does $2.50 fall? Between $2 and between $3. All right, so for this one, he has between 2 and 3 apples. All right, so when we move on to our next page, they give you a picture of a leaf, and they're asking, write the length of this leaf as a mixed number. Okay, so a mixed number. So how many whole inches do we represent? Well, it's more than 3 whole inches. So our whole is going to be 3. Okay, and then we're trying to figure out what the fraction is. Well, if we count the parts here, we see there's 1, 2, 3 fourths of the next inch that is shown, right? So then he has 3 and 3. We have, 3 and 3/4 leaves. Okay, and again, 3 and 3/4 falls between the whole number 3 and the next whole number 4 because we have more than 3 leaves, but we don't have 4 just yet. All right, these examples down here for the guided practice, or this example, right, is a really good idea to take a look at these and try to understand, because this is 2 whole models that are shaded in, and then this is part of our third model. We don't have the whole third one, we only have part of it. We have 5 sections out of the 6 total. So our mixed number for this example would be 2 wholes and 5/6 of another. So if you're thinking to yourself, okay, well, what whole numbers does this fall between? Well, we have more than 2, but we don't quite have 3. So this would fall between 2 and 3 full models there. All right, so I'm going to erase this. I'm going to move us on to our next page. All right, and our next page has more examples just like this. So what I'd like for you to do is I'd actually like for you to pause the video and try numbers 2 through 7. And then once we get done with 2 through 7, I am going to go over them with you. All right, so pause it now and give it a shot. And now that you've unpaused and you've gotten them all right, I hope, right, we're going to figure this out. So again, 1 whole is shaded, and then how much of the next one? 1, 2, out of the 5 total pieces. This one here, number 3, 2 holes are shaded, and then 5 out of the 6 are shaded here. Number 4, 1, 2 are shaded, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 out of the 8 are shaded in the fraction part. All right, this one, 1, 2 are shaded again, and then this is tiny, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 11 total shaded. Oops, that's not an 11. Sorry, out of the 12 total parts there. All right, down here, 1 whole figure is shaded, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of the 8 are shaded there. And then the last one we just went over was 2 holes are shaded, and then 3 out of the 4 are shaded in the next one. All right, so these ones are very straightforward, and I really like these as learning to understand the concept of what a mixed number really represents. If you want to try and think again about what whole numbers they fall between, just try and think you have more than what whole number, but not quite the next whole number. All right, so you have more than 1, but not 2, so it's between 1 and 2. You have more than 2, but not quite 3, so it falls between 2 and 3. You can kind of do that for all of those examples that are there. All right, on the bottom here, it's a little bit more challenging, a little bit less of a picture and more of understanding the idea here. So it says write an equation that represents each mixed number as a sum of whole numbers and unit fractions. Okay, so when we're looking at whole numbers, 3 means we have a whole, and a whole, 3 wholes. And then we have our unit fraction, which is just 1 of the fourths, 1/4. All right, so for this one, 5 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our unit fraction is the half here. All right, so I want you to go ahead and give a shot on numbers 10 and 11. You can pause it now and try them, and then I'll go over it. Go ahead. And now that you've unpaused it, we've got 1, 2 holes here, and we have 1 of the thirds, and then 1 of the thirds. Now, you may have been a little bit confused on this one because there was an extra line, and you might have put 2/3 plus a 0, but when they talk about unit fractions, a unit fraction has a 1 as your numerator. Okay, so if you want to pause it and then try and redo number 11 now, that's a great idea. And we're going to go over number 11 right now. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. And how many eighths do we have? We have 3 of the eighths. So we have 1/8, excuse me, 1/8, and 1/8, and 1/8. All right. So there are your examples for representing the mixed number as a sum of the wholes and the unit fractions, and also looking at the shaded models. All right. If you're unsure about this, watch the video again. Sometimes watching it more than once, you'll pick some new things up. There's also going to be some links provided for you to practice as well. All right. Best of luck, everyone.